Last night, it was tight at Kennedy, but today, Syracuse has a chance to open things up on home ice. It's the final skate of 2025 for the Cuse, and Robert Morris comes in ready to spoil the party once again with just one road loss on the season. These two teams squared off less than 24 hours ago right here at Kennedy, and it was a close game throughout all 60 minutes. It came down to this third period power play score from Talia Dalia just 3 seconds into that power play. Syracuse has some opportunities at the end, outshooting RMU 13-5 in the final period. A mess in front of the goal, but it came down to a penalty shot. Heidi Knoll, the senior for Syracuse, went to her backhand, trying to get by Maggie Hatch, but the goaltender stayed strong for RMU, and that resulted in Robert Morris advancing to 6-6-1 on the season, Syracuse dropping to 4-6-1, and Penn State still with that undefeated 12-0 record. Nico Horning and Max Gifford welcoming you inside Kennedy Ice Pavilion. A close game overall last night. The offense was there for Syracuse, outshooting RMU by 12. They just couldn't cash in at the end.
Very physical game last night. 11 combined penalties. Mercyhurst took advantage of that with a power play goal.
A fairly scrappy battle in that second period. The physicality continued, but really it was some defensive miscues for the Orange that allowed RMU to take that lead.
Great physicality from Sorella so far in this series. There's another shot in net there. Rebound, score! Stella Costabile ties it up for Syracuse.
Here's another shot. Gennady towards the net, scores! Emma Gennady on the power play for Syracuse. Puck comes loose to the slot and a score for Elena Giampetro. Trailing 2-1 heading into the third. What have you seen change from your guys' end after you took the initial lead in that first period? What do you guys need to have come back, I guess, going into this third period? All right, that's Maya Darcy, the senior defenseman for Syracuse, aiming to get her team back on track and tie this thing up heading into the third period. The Orange trail 2-1. We'll have the highlights and stats coming up next. Third period about to begin here in Syracuse. The Orange trail the RMU Colonials 2-1. Nico Horning, Max Gifford, happy to be with you here on Flow Hockey. And an important period coming up here for the Orange after dropping last night's game to RMU 1-0. An opportunity late in the third on a Heidi Knoll penalty shot that was turned aside by Maggie Hatch. So we'll see what's in store for us in the next 20 minutes or so here at Kennedy. Max, what is got to be the biggest thing for Syracuse to control, I guess, on their end heading into this third to allow for some more offensive opportunities?
Well, I think the answer is almost in the question you just asked. This is a big third period for Syracuse, not only because it sets the tone for AHA play the rest of the way against a team that you're pretty even with in terms of on-paper ability, but then the fact that this is the last game Syracuse plays this year, so it sets the tone going in to the second semester, and Syracuse nearly has a month before it's back on the ice, and you really don't want to be left with that sour taste in your mouth.
Could be a big boost of momentum if they can find it here in the third period, because their first two games in January are against Delaware. The second and third, Delaware new to the conference, and they have struggled to say the least.
Yeah, Syracuse took care of business down in Delaware to start the season, but then again, some of these teams need a little more time to figure it out. That could be the case with the Blue Hens, who are in their first year in the AHA, their first season as a program. But if you want something specific that Syracuse needs to work on, I mentioned, you talked about, controlling the period, and that's honestly what the Orange need to do, is control the controllables. They didn't control a lot of their defensive alignment in the last period, and it proved to be fatal.
Heidi Knoll gets it to go for the Orange and ties things up. Just on that penalty shot chance less than 24 hours ago for Syracuse that Hatch turned aside. This time, it's Heidi Knoll getting past the counterpart for RMU.
Seems as if she watched some tape last night, had the 5-hole open on that penalty shot, and this time did go to that backhand once again, but instead of slotting it to the far side post, put it right in between the wickets of Hatch. Talked about controlling the controllables. Well, Heidi Knoll just controlled the puck and put it in the net.
First goal of the season for Heidi Knoll. There's a shot right into the stomach of Ava Drabick from Hannah Thornton. Knoll with a team-high 5 shots last night. Did not convert on the penalty shot. But today, a different story here in the third period and sets the tone for the Orange. And an opportunity for RMU to try and take the lead there from Hannah Thornton, but Ava Drabick doing what she does best, and that is saving shots for the Orange.
And the senior Heidi Knoll, no stranger to scoring either. She just played in her 125th game as a member of the Orange yesterday. Her 12th career goal with Syracuse as well. So up to this point, has gotten plenty of opportunities on offense, but again, has really been a player that has really almost not necessarily always been at the top of the lines, but has always provided value on some of those secondary and tertiary lines.
Knoll with some big impact plays this season, specifically in her senior year. A shootout goal against Cornell for Syracuse to break that 17-game losing streak against the Big Red. And then also had a shootout goal against Mercyhurst. So some big-time impacts for Knoll as we are tied at 2 as Goding sends it in and it goes wide. Now another toss towards the net, turned aside by Drabick. Jessica McKinnon twisting and turning in the corner. Over to Giampetro. Now up top to Talia D'Elia. Good stick from Peyton Armstrong. Giannoni. And Syracuse eyes to skate it up and out, and they do. Celia Wiegand fires it and covered up by Maggie Hatch. The Orange coming out in this third period firing.
Feel like you needed to, right? Didn't get as many opportunities last period as you did to start the game. Robert Morris closed the gap in terms of shots, even though Syracuse still ultimately led that shot category. But now it's about sustaining that momentum.
Taylor Story got past Darcy, and that gets chipped aside. Good defense by Wiegand there on the near breakaway for the Colonials.
You saw Darcy blow a tire just before center ice. And then a really nice job by Wiegand on the 2-on-1. That's one of the hardest plays as a defenseman when you have a 2-on-1, because you have to stay in between the players, and ultimately Wiegand just took a little bit of a turn to keep her outside foot toward the shot, and it ultimately paid dividends. Lucky that there was no pass to the slot area.
Almost seems like sometimes you just got to pick a direction at the end of the day. Loose puck in front, comes out to Fiala at the top, moves in, thought about it, sends it down low to Kinsler. Back to the point for Fiala, glides it across. Shot on net by Wiegand, gets turned aside, the rebound in front. Tervanen, and RMU escapes with it.
And I know it's only 4 minutes into the period, but I like Syracuse's passing a lot more than I saw in the first 2 periods. I saw some passes that were just a little bit more sloppy in the first couple of periods. Saw some that weren't necessarily tape to tape. You're seeing a lot more of that, just a lot cleaner. Maybe part of that has to do with the ice being fresh. But right now, Syracuse taking advantage of that clean ice, if that is the case.
Much more crisp than what it's been through the game, as Knoll almost found herself with an open puck. Heidi Knoll, the game-tying goal a moment ago here in the third. First of the season for the senior from Ottawa. Syracuse leading the shots 29-24. Orange have also won the face-off department today, 28-14. Colonial's a very good team at the dot. Gianpietro, who scored earlier, shoots it just wide. And the puck comes all the way out of the zone for RMU. Another good look there from Gianpietro.
And how about this? The player with the puck right now, Jessica McKinnon, has 12 of the 14 face-off wins for Robert Morris.
The best face-off person in the nation. McKinnon trying to fight for possession here with Costabile. It ends up in Tervanen's skate and ricochets all the way down below the goal line. Kinsler scoops it up, changes directions. Tervanen goes to help, brings it up along the near boards. A shot that floats high and into the chest of Hatch.
Just goes to show that Syracuse has, for the most part, held this top line for RMU in check. That's been the line that they've relied on all season to get goals. And with the exception of that Elena Gianpietro goal, when they got behind the Syracuse defense, really hasn't been too much to provide on this score sheet with the exception of those faceoffs.
McKinnon, the nation's face-off leader. And a big reason why RMU has relied on that department to lead to some success offensively. Orange trying to get their offense set again, but RMU will escape with possession as Meisner just tosses it down. Goading down low to Verana, who had the goal earlier for RMU, first of her collegiate career. Puck slithers loosely in front. And now it's picked up by Verana again, being pressured by Gennady, who had the opening goal today for Syracuse. And that one's turned aside by Drabick. The putback attempt was no good. 3-on-2 opportunity for the Orange. And a good stick by Talia Dalia.
A lot of loose pucks in front of Drabick right now. It's up to the Syracuse defense to make sure they keep picking up that trash to avoid any really close RMU chances like they've had a couple since that no goal.
Syracuse and RMU for the second straight day. They'll face each other 2 more times after the new year. Chung whiffed on that pass just seconds ago. It's those crisp passes that you've seen, Max, that have been evident for the Orange and what's been working. Trying to get back to that here is Mick Todd behind the goal. Gets it back up top. And Chung again in deep, and that one is saved by Hatch. "12 minutes remaining here in the third in a tied game. Syracuse will bring on Knowles' line. I beg your pardon, Darcy's line. Tervanen wins the face-off for Syracuse. There's a shot and a glove save made by Maggie Hatch. Tervanen, the face-off leader for the Orange, 52% on the season.
And I know I said Syracuse hasn't really taken opportunity of rebounds. That's mainly because Maggie Hatch doesn't allow rebounds.
What'd you say?
Almost made me eat my words
Exactly.
right there.
I was making your point even that more true.
But
Well, I guess there was an initial rebound.
But that
she
being
saved it.
said, there was an initial rebound, but what did Maggie Hatch do? She just took it herself.
Jumped right on it. Hatch with her 3rd shutout of the season last night for RMU, 6th of her career. Also became the 3rd RMU goaltender with 2,000 career saves last night.
Yeah, by the end of that first period, had already surpassed 2,000. Syracuse was pestering her all night. And only fitting that she got the win. She also got the icing on the cake with her 2,000th save.
So a toss-up along the near glass and a penalty that is going against Charlotte Hallett for Syracuse.